Yeah, good morning. So we'll discuss regarding comparable interface now, firstly, and then we'll discuss copy constructor, and then Arup sir will discuss few questions. Okay.
I have some specific doubt when I can ask at the end.
So regarding what your doubt is regarding which topic?
No, for this in exam point of view.
Yeah, you can ask at the end. I think so. It will be good. Or yeah.
One second, Lily. Yeah, what is it about operational issues or technical stuff? Like, I mean, doubts regarding those things.
No, doubts regarding the programming because some of the part I am facing some problem. So that is why I.
Okay, so shall we finish the session and then see whether your doubts are cleared? If not, you can ask at the end if you're planning to stay until the end.
Yeah, no issue. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Nalini, I think we can start.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
May I, 1 second, only one thing I want to ask something. Ma'am?
Yeah.
You.
Yeah. Are we expecting the practice and graded assignment solution PDFs to be uploaded?
No.
Or no, only for 4 weeks?
Sorry?
Ma'am, only for 4 weeks the practice and graded assignment solution PDFs are uploaded on the drive.
Oh, is it? Okay, that is something they may have missed.
Can you please look into it because we are preparing.
Objective questions, right?
Yes, ma'am. Objective questions.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking maybe you were asking about the programming assignment questions.
No.
They are supposed to upload it. I mean, I will just remind them. Okay.
Can you please make them to the? Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'm sharing my screen. So yeah. So if you want to compare two integers, like if you want to tell like which integer, like you have 20 and 12, let's say, how can you tell whether 20 is greater than or 12, like which is more? Like if you want which is more or which is less, you can just use some operation. No, 20 greater, you can check whether if 20 greater than 12, then return true, something you can know in this way. But if you want to compare two objects, let's take like you have employee E1 and E2 of type employee. So you want to compare these two employees. So you want to tell like so can you use this greater than or less than operation on this? So you cannot use on this objects, E1 and E2 on objects. So the thing is how can you compare two objects of same type? So that is like it's not similar to as we do in this like primitives, like whether this greater than, less than, double equal to, this operation does not make sense to this employee objects or any objects. So how to do that? So you have this comparable interface, and in that you have compareTo method. So this compareTo method will return 1 if both objects are like, okay, if you are saying E1, if you are telling E1 dot if you tell this E1 dot compareTo of E2, if this it returns int as output. So if you write this E1 dot compareTo of E2, so if this method is returning 1, that means E1 is greater than E2. If it is returning -1, that means E1 is less than E2. If it is returning 0, that means both the E1 is equal to E2. So this is like actually this compareTo method is present in the comparable interface. So as it is, this is an abstract method. So you want to override the compareTo method according to the way you want to compare these two employees. So how can you tell whether which employee is greater than other? How can you which criteria should it decide? That criteria depends on so you can say if if the number of years of experience of E1 is greater than E2, then you can say you can say E1 is greater than E2. So this criteria on which you want to compare two employees is depend upon you, the case that thing you have to write in your compareTo method. But the thing is it should return 1 if even this, if I say e1 dot compare to of e2, then it should return 1. If e1 is greater than e2, it should return -1. E1 is, if it is less than, e1 is less than e2, and 0 if it both are same. So yeah, that's the thing is this regarding the comparable interface. So now okay, there is some company or some industry, like let's say there is a company. Okay, in the like usually will have a company will have employees, no? So I'm collecting all those employees in an array, employee in an array. And so actually the company, what it has decided is to give promotion to the, like there will be many teams, no, in a company. So it has decided to give promotion to one of the employee from each team. So from each team it decided to give promotion to one employee. So actually it has method called some display id. So the display id will uh, display id, that method will return the employee, will return what id of the employee who gets promotion. Okay, so this is regarding that. So and so how can you do this, like the thing is here you need to compare the two employees. So how it has decided no to give the promotion, so it will take like among all the employees in a team, it will check for the number of years of experience of like of all the employees. So the employee with the highest year of experience will get the promotion. Okay, if two or more employees has same like same that, okay, let's take three has highest year of experience within a team. So if three let's take if two employees have same like 3 years experience. So yeah, the criteria it has the company has decided is like, okay, if both the employees has same highest year of experience, then we'll check the number of leaves taken by them. Okay, if okay, the one who has taken less number of leaves will get the promotion. That okay, this condition will be checked only if it has like some tie up between two employees. Only in that case this will check, and the assumption is like no two employees will have same number of leaves. Okay, and this employee class has some instance variables like uh, id, and also experience, and also number of years of experience, and also number of leaves taken. And so the company should compare to like each and every employee within a team, no? So to compare the two employees, we so you should not compare, so even you should not compare even with even again. So that is like kind of it's no, it's okay because we will get zero only. But the thing is like it's kind of redundant, no? It's like a kind of no use if we compare even with even. So we can check for equals, we can check whether two employees are equal. If they are not equal, then only we can compare. So the thing is, how can we check whether two employees are equal or not? The criteria it has kept is like, if two employees has same id, then they are equal. If they have different id, then they are not equal. So this is the criteria. Okay, this is regarding equals method, and it has to override compare to method, which is compare to method also to compare to give this compare option. So it should implement the interface comparable interface. It is of type generic, no? So I'm taking here employee only, employee. Okay, now the thing is like the problem statement is you have to you have to give promotion to the employees from an array of employees. How can you give promotion? You will like based on this the highest year of experience, the person will get promotion. If there is some tie up, you will check for the number of leaves. That is the problem. So you have to um, solve this. So I will share the code, actual code, and then we'll look that problem. Okay. Okay, is it clear like problem statement, or is there something any doubt here?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I told, right, this is like, it is a class. You have class company. So in the class company, you have main method. In the main method, there are array of employees. For the array of employees, you are taking just input, and then this display ID, this method will return the employee who gets the promotion. Okay, I'm just printing the ID of that employee. That is this display ID method. This method is already given to you. Like, yeah, I will tell you this also. And in the employee method, you have this everything is given to you. Like, employee implements a comparable interface. It has instance variable ID, experience, and leaves, and there is a constructor to initialize this. And you have to override the equals method which is present in the object class. So what is the criterion? I have told, like, two employees are equal if they have same ID, no? Do anyone want to tell, like, what, how to do this, how to override this equal method of the object class to tell, like, even equal, if I say even dot equals to e2, should return like true if both of them has same ID. It should return false if both of them have different ID. So how to do this? Any thoughts on this?
Can you
First, we need to check whether this is an instance of that class. O is an
Yes.
instance.
Okay, what if, without checking, if I say, like, if I tell, like, if this dot ID, this I'm checking for ID of the employee, if this dot ID equal to o dot ID, if I say, and if it is same, if I am saying it is return true. But what happens if I do this? So I will write here, if this dot, so we are comparing IDs of two employees only, if both of them has same ID, then I'm telling it's, it basically it is, they're same employees. Okay, this is not correct, but why it is not correct? Yeah, anyone?
We have to typecast O object to employee object.
Actually, will this work? This won't work, no? Actually, this o dot id, because object, now I'm saying this is of type object, right? O is of type object. So object does not have id as instance variable in it, no? So it will give error when you try to do this. The logic is correct. You are saying, okay, whatever object I have received, I will compare id, but object does not have id in it. So you should check whether the object you got is of type employee. So what I will check, if o instance of of employee, by this, I, I think there should be some space or what.
No. O is
I,
small letter.
yes, o
Yeah,
is
no
small letter.
space.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what, o is small letter. Okay, then I will typecast it to employee. So employee equal, if it is instance of employee, then I'm telling it that, okay, my reference is also of type employee. Then I can safely use id, and I can call methods whatever which is present in the employee class, no? Okay, then this I am doing, and then I will write this
You
code.
mean EO, right? On
Oh,
the right
Yeah,
hand side.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. So I will typecast that o to employee. So,
E2 ID.
yeah, I'm just cutting and just pasting here. So if it is of type employee, like, now I'm checking, now I can safely compare, no? I can say, now I can check the IDs of both the things here. Okay. Okay, that's it, no? Okay, that's all. So now okay, this function also, if it is some other object, no, then I don't want to typecast it. Then that means there is no, like, you cannot compare, even you cannot tell whether you cannot compare even like employee with student, no. So that's why I'm checking whether it's the object you can equals method can receive any object, student or anything. So firstly I'm checking whether it's employee. If it is employee, then I'm typecasting it to type employee, and then I'm checking for their ID. If both are same, then I'm returning true. If not, if it is not of type employee, then I will return false. Okay, then this all checking won't happen. Yeah, this is clear, no? Is there any doubt in this equals method? So now the thing is, like, compare to method I should write. How should I write? It should return an integer value, 1, -1 or 0, based on the criteria which I mentioned like previously. So what is that the thing? If okay, if this dot experience, you should check for experience only, no? If this dot experience is greater than e dot experience, so I'm checking whether e1 dot compare to of e2, I'm saying, no. So I will check whether e1 dot experience is greater than e2 dot experience, then it should return 1, no. Then it should return 1. Okay, you cannot say directly else return -1. You cannot do that because you have other like tie case also, no. Like, if both are same, then you should check for the number of leaves. So you cannot directly put else here. If this dot experience less than e dot experience, so my current object is less than the object which I'm compared with, then I should return -1.
Nalini, sorry to interrupt. Do you want to say the problem statement once again, because some people have joined late?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, just
yeah,
once,
yeah,
just the
yeah.
problem statement.
Okay, yeah, okay, ma'am. Yeah, the thing is, like, a company has actually decided to give promotion to one of like promotion to employees. Like, how they decided to give promotion to each employee from a team. So the criteria to give promotion is like, from a team they will check the employees, they will check all the employees, and out of all the employees, the employee with the highest years of experience will get the promotion. So okay, if two employees from a team, or if they have like same number of highest years of experience, like three has highest years of experience in a team. If both the employees, if two employees have some that 3 years of experience, then how, then the company has decided to check for the leaves. Okay, if the one with the less number of leaves will get the promotion in that case. Okay, so the thing is, like, we should compare to employees, no. So for that, I'm using implementing comparable in interface, and then I'm overriding the compare to method to shoot the criteria which has given. So first I will check whether this whether the employee, even if I say e1 dot compare to of e2, so that is I'm comparing e1 with e2. If e1 has highest years of experience than e2, then I am returning 1. If it has less number of years of experience, then I will return -1. If both e1 and e2 has same years of experience, then I will check what leaves. If this,
Just bring it up. We can't see.
oh, sorry, now.
Yeah.
Okay, if then you will check for leaves. Okay, if less number of leaves this has, our object has, then we should return 1. In all the remaining cases, like, it will return -1. That means Okay, if experience is same, but n leaves is greater than or equal to something, that the assumption is like no two employees will have same number of leaves. So if yeah, if this dot n leaves is greater than e dot n leaves, that means this one only. So I'm telling using else and I'm returning -1. Okay. That actually the code asked is to fill this one equals and this method, this compareTo method only. So now I will explain the display int method also, which is present in this company. So the display id actually will return the id of employee who gets a promotion. So yeah, you have 4 employees in a team. Let's take you have 4 employees in a team. So how will you decide which one get? You will compare E1 with E2 and even with E3, even with E4. So you will compare each employee with every other employee. So you will compare again E2 with E3 and E2 with E4 also. That's why I'm using 2 for loops here in the code, like here 2 for loops to compare each employee with each other employee. So when I will compare, I will come to this code later. Just I'm explaining this one. So this is like 2 for loops to compare each employee with every other employee. So when should I compare? Only if both the employees are not same, no? So that's why I'm checking whether employee of I equals, if both are not same, then only I'm calling this compareTo method. Then only I'm comparing E1 with E2 or even with, so EMP of I with EMP of J. So that is like what happens here is each employee will be compared with each other employee by using this nested loops. Is it clear? Like not the entire code, just whatever I told now. Why 2 for loops and what is the like when we are comparing the statement till
What
this.
is the count here?
Yeah, I will come to that part. So actually what it returns, this compareTo method will return only one or -1 or 0. So it will check with it can compare only with 2 employees, no, like even with E2 or even with E3, that's all. It cannot compare with, so you won't get a big integer at a time. You won't get maximum, you cannot find a maximum at one run, no. So it will just will give one at a time, 1 or -1. So by this you cannot know like who will get the highest. So the thing is, I will check how many times even is getting 1. I will check how many times even is getting 1. So that is like how many times each employee. So int count equal to 0 I have initialized, and then so every time count will be incremented. If it is getting 1, count equal to count plus 1. Let's take like even I'm comparing with every other thing. So now I take now like there are 4 objects. I think I should use pen or nothing, no, you are getting right what I'm telling. So actually int I equal to 0 I'm starting. So in the first case it will be e of 0, so first element of your array, and then you are comparing e of 0 with e of 0, e of 1, e of 2, e of 3. The thing is like here e of 0 and e of 0 won't be compared because equals method you will check. So that will give both our id will be same, no, e of 0 and e of 0 id will be same, so you won't compare. So you will compare e of 0 with e of 1, that will start from there. Okay, now I will check how many times this e of 0 is getting 1. Okay, if it is getting 1 for 2 times, you cannot conclude, no, that E1 is like the employee with who has highest years of experience and he should get promotion. You cannot do that. So so I will do this for e of 1 also. I will check how many times it is getting 1, and for e of 2 also I will check how many times it is getting 1. Like I'm counting, I'm summing up this, like how many times it is getting, like finally it will let's say e of 3 is maximum and it is getting 3. It is like it is getting like 4, no, 4 employees, it should get 4. The value it should get is 4. Yeah, now so every time I will check whether the count, the maximum I have initialized to 0. So I will check every time whether count is greater than max. I will check if it is greater than max, then only I will update the max, and then I am updating the id also, like employee of id equal to n. That means okay, if my count is greater than the previous my count, then I'm updating my max value and then I'm updating the ID also. Finally it will return that ID who has got greater number of times 1, that employee it will return. So the thing is, compareTo method, it will just compare between two objects of same type. It won't give the final result, for you. So that's why you have to implement this logic also internally to find out the employee who has got the maximum years of experience. It can say whether out of E1 and E2, it can tell only whether E1 gets promotion or E2 gets promotion. But from that you cannot conclude, no, out of 4 employees you cannot conclude whether by comparing 2 employees you cannot do that. So in order to do all the correct processing, like correct, in order to find the correct employee, you should use this logic also along with the compareTo method. Is this clear? Or else you can ask the doubt from this code. Actually the thing is, this code has already given to you, only that yeah, this is a bit difficult to do. So actually you are asked to fill only this one, compareTo and equals method. But did you get this logic, whatever? Yeah.
Oh, I have just one doubt.
Okay.
In the line number 44, first we are checking the 2 employee whether their ID is same or not. If not, then only I am entering the if loop. And
Then yeah, then only.
Immediately I am incrementing the count to count plus 1. Okay. After the if entering to the if block.
Yeah, if it depends only on the compareTo method, whether it is returning, if it is returning 1, then it will increase the value of count.
No.
So this count won't be same for all the employees. It depends upon the compareTo method. It depends if compareTo method is returning 1 or -1, or it depends on that case, no? So the thing
suppose
is,
this compare method employee I to employee J, when I'm referring the above, it may return -1 also.
Yeah, it may return -1 also, but no issue will happen, no? So if it is returning -1, then 1 will be subtracted. If it is like, okay, I will use pen then, so that it will be clear to show you like how it's happening. So E1, E2 and E3 you have, E4 you have. Now you will compare E1 with, first case you will compare E1 with E2. Even with E1 you won't compare, because equals method will return same ID, and then E1 with E4 you will compare. Now for E1, for the first iteration, the count is 0. Okay, if E1 is greater than E2, it will return 1. No? So count will become 1. Okay, in the second case, if E1 is less than E3, then okay, our maximum is this one. And by looking we can know, no? So let's assume this. So count will be 0. Okay, now E1 is, let's take, now this function will return -1, no? That's why your count has become 0. Now let's say E1 is greater than E4, then your count will be 1. Okay, now you will check. Now my max is 0 initially. Now you will check whether max is greater than, whether count is greater than max, whether my count is greater than max. Yes, it's greater than, no? So max will be your count. So max will be now 1, and ID will be this E1, employee ID of E1. Okay, this one after first iteration. So now your max is 1. So let's see, the max is 1. Okay. Okay, what happens, I won't show what happens with E2, what happens with E4, but I will show for E3. I told E3 is maximum, no? So so E3, when I compare E3 with E1, E3 with E2 and E3 with E4, then it will return count equal to count plus 1. So count will become 1 first in the first iteration, count will become 2 in the second iteration, and count will become 3 in the third iteration. Now it will check whether count is greater than max. Yeah, whether count is greater than max. So count is 3. 3 is greater than 1. So yeah, max will be stored in count. That means max will become 3. Max will be 3, and then ID will be E3. Now E4. Let's say now E4 you have. E4 is not maximum. Okay, E4 is not maximum. So what you will do, you will check E1 with E4. I told previously E1 is greater than E4, no? So you will get count -1 initially. Then E1 with E2, let's say this is E4 is greater, then you will count will become 0. Now in this case also it will become -1. So your max won't be updated in this case. So it will check every time how many times E1 or E2 or E3. Like here in the first iteration, it will check for E1. How many times E1 is getting 1? If it is getting more times than max, then only we are updating the max, then only we are updating the ID. Similarly, it will happen for E2, E3 and E4. It will check for the current max. So the current max will be updated, no? So it will happen only when it has when it has got greater number of ones. That time only the max will be updated and the ID will be set. That is the logic here. So yeah, still, yeah, is there any issue? You can say, it's okay to, yeah, tell.
No, understood. Just why I'm ask this question, because in no permutation it should the max value never get go beyond 0. It won't happen, right?
Why it won't happen? Max value won't become greater than 0.
So I need to set that combination right now. I'm hoping that kind of situation may not appear, right?
That kind of situation may not appear. Like max value will always be updated. See, yeah.
Since why? Because sometime you are returning -1 and sometime and other time you are returning 1. So 1
Yeah,
-1
okay, let us say even is the least one. He is like less than all E2 and E3 and E4. In that case, max won't be updated in the first iteration, but in the second iteration, E2 will be greater than E1, no? So at that time your count will become 1, no? So max is initially 0. So now count is greater than max. The max will be updated, no, by 1. So max will be definitely updated in any of the cases.
Okay.
Yeah, that is regarding the compareTo method. Only you need to understand is how to do proper comparison between two objects of same types. The basic idea is like that.
Can you go to this compareTo function once more?
Yeah, sure.
But here you are using 3 if loop. Can I use that else if else, or this else statement at the end? It's for which if loop, which if statement? Last one.
Only last one. Yeah, only last one. So what are the possibilities here? Like checking for experience and checking for leaves. When should you check for leaves? Only if there is tie. No, remaining all the cases, there is no need to check for this else part, no? So the thing is, basically you will check whether greater than whether this dot experience, whether E1 dot experience is greater than E2, then you will return 1. If it is less than or equal to, there are two cases, no? So you cannot directly use else part. So you can use else if. No harm in using else if. I can do this also. Else if, you will check else if this experience is less than, then I'm returning -1. Then you can say, yeah, then you can also check.
This line number 29, is it for all cases? Means, but why? Because
see when this statement will be executed, so we are returning, no, it will check whether experience is greater than. If it is greater than, it will stop at this point only, you will get 1. If it is less than, then only this will be executed and you will return -1. Then this third condition, everything won't be checked. And if it is same, then you will check for leaves and then return will happen. Only if it is same, then only you will check, you will execute all the 3 if loop. You should check 3 times. If one of the case has satisfied, then you can use function, you will get a value. No, you no need to check the below case, right?
If the
So
experience and leaves is same,
mm,
in that case, will the program will throw an error?
that there is some assumption, no, we are assuming so in the test cases you won't give in such criteria, like experience and the leaves, you won't be given same. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And ma'am, when I'm entering the input employee, one employee after other, I am giving the input, na, this leaves experience.
Mm.
So my last entered will be the this, right? Say if I give 2 input, E1 and E2, 2 set of input for the 2 employee,
Okay.
this dot leaves or this dot years, whatever it is for the E2. Or
So actually, so where I'm using this only in this function, no, this dot
constructor
experience.
calling.
Yeah, in the constructor calling, whatever where in the constructor calling, where here also I'm not using. But if I say here this dot id equal to I, that means if you are initializing, if you are setting values to even, this refers to even at that time. If you are setting values to E2, that this
Nalini,
refers to.
sorry to interrupt, Nalini. So I think his doubt was like, can you just scroll down that compare to method, right? So there is this, no, compare to. So there is this dot experience and E dot experience, right?
Okay. Yeah, the E1 dot compare
Yeah.
to of E2, if I say E1 dot compare to of E2, that means I am calling compare to method using which object? E1. E1, no? E1 dot compare to of E2. So E1 is the object I'm calling with. So E1 dot compare to of E2, that means I'm calling from E1 object, and I am passing E2 there. So here E will become E2, and this will become this object E1. Is it clear? E1 dot compare to of E2. So I'm calling from E1 by passing E2. So E will become E2, the parameter that I'm passing E will become E2, and this will become E1.
Okay. And that is why whatever the value I am the passing to check with the already existed value in the system, that we this dot experience means the value we already have stored in the system as E1 employee.
Mm.
And now I want to compare that E1 with E2. So I'm passing the value E2 to
Yeah.
compare with E1.
Yeah.
Okay. This entire thing, this employee class, if everything becomes in employee, because all the parameter, all the value variable that we are comparing with respect to the employee class, then why you have mentioned this interface as a generic one?
Why I'm so actually this is like defined, this is inbuilt interface, comparable interface. You have this what comparable interface there. Compare to method is basically, this comparable interface is used to compare the two objects of same type in order to compare so you will basically have with this doubt, no, like how can I compare two objects? So they have defined this comparable interface inbuilt. Compare to method, yeah, you can do that. You without using, you can define some your own method, some method like in check 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 for equality or something, check for something, and I can use same thing here. It's okay, you can do in this way also, like you can, yeah, that thing also will work. This is because right, yeah, that thing also work. But yeah, but the thing is, yeah, you have like this comparable which is predefined, and in order to, this is basically used to compare to two object this is like
Oh, that in that case, basically this check for method, then I have to write that that interface. I have to define that and then again implement that. Since this is
No.
yeah.
No, the thing is like you can do that. You can compare two objects without implementing comparable also. You can define,
No,
you can
no, no, no.
define.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I will do that through the implementation only interface.
Okay.
But I don't want to mention my interface as a generic one.
Yeah, but that is predefined. That is generic. Interface is generic. You can search also in Java documentation. That is generic only, comparable of some generic type T. And that is so the compare to method also, it will the public int compare to T of some, the type of the object it is taking is T only. Yeah, you can check in the documentation also. That is generic type comparable only. So Arup sir, do you want to add something here, like anything regarding
Yeah,
compare?
just like comparable, if you define like yours, like interface, if you are defining, right, then you can write it as your wish. But whenever you're going to utilize the comparable which is inbuilt, like predefined inside Java, then you have to go for what definition already provided, right? So the definition itself is a comparable having a generic and comparable having the abstract method that is compared to. And similar to, you can also use the comparator. That's also generic, the infallible one. Comparator having the compare method. But compare method takes two arguments. It takes the first argument compare with the second argument. Comparable takes just one argument. It compare it with the current argument like this. That's all. So if you want to use the predefined one, you have to go for whatever the definition available. So you can check the doc.
And
Yeah.
sir, in the interface, go above. Go above.
Nalini, can you go up a little bit?
Go up. Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, yeah, this comparable, the generic type that we are using.
Mhm.
If I write T instead of employee, will my program need call for change?
So you need to tell no at the time of instantiation what is the T.
That means instead of int ID, I have to
The
write TI.
comparable T is already defined in the interface. Now here
Oh,
instantiating, no, you need to pass for what the T will be replaced.
acha, acha.
It is not definition. You are not defining the generic. You are using the generic. That's the idea.
Okay, okay, sir, clear.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay. Then we have copy constructor. What thing? So basically, yeah, yesterday also in the previous session while discussing cloning, also we discussed, how to create two objects having the instance variables of same type. So you want two objects, employee E1 and E2. Yeah, two objects you want, but the instance variables should be like, if even it has like the values of the instance variable must be same for both E1 and E2. So the thing is like, so I'm not going to cloning part now, just discussing this copy constructor. The thing you can do that is that thing by using the copy constructor, you can create two objects like E1 and E2. Okay, using, so I want to create new object E2 using E1. That means the instance variables of both E1 and E2 must be same. So how can I do? By using the copy constructor. And yeah, there is the thing like, okay, if I change E1, if I change E1 or E2, the changes must not be reflected in any of. So if I change E1, then the change must not be reflected in E2. Same, if I change E2, then the changes must not be reflected in E1. So there is like this both shallow copying and deep copying also in this case also. Like, yeah, if you do shallow, then if I change even, that will be reflected in E2 also. That will happen only for objects, that will not happen for primitive data types. So yeah, so basically the thing is like, I have employee class. So yeah, and now eve E1 is an employee and E2 is an employee, and you are creating E2 using E1. So I'm using the object which has already created to create new object. This is like, this we can do by using the copy constructor. Okay, the employee class has name, experience, this is string in, these are primitives, and this is like projects, this is string array, this is object type. Okay, now how can you do this? How can you like create new object? Now how to assign the values to, how to set the value, how to set the values to e2 using even? Anyone wants to tell, like using the copy constructor?
We can use that this constructor.
Okay, this dot name. Okay, what does this represent here? Okay, here let's take here employee e2 equal to new employee of e1. Now what does this represent here?
E1.
The
uh,
there this here this means e2.
yeah, this means e2. So e1 is the thing which you are passing, no? So e1 will go here, so that
Yeah,
means
e1 dot name.
yeah, e means e1 here, and this means the current object, that is e2. Okay, and yeah, I will show first the shallow thing and then I will show deep thing. This dot, it has like experience and experience. If I say this dot projects, okay, this is okay, yeah. Okay, before that I will show something. Okay, okay, you have employee. Previously what it has some name and experience. This is string, this is int experience, this is experience, and this is project array, this is string array of projects. This is employee class, no? Yeah, now I will, so yeah, if I say int x equal to 10, what happens? So actually some memory will be allocated, no? It is of type integer, so the whatever how many bytes of memory it should allocate, that will be allocated, and it has name x, and 10 will be stored. Okay, now if I say int y equal to x, what happens? Now it has memory, new memory locations will be created, y, and the value what is there in the x, that is 10, it will be stored in 10. Same happens for string also, okay, for string also it will new object, like you cannot change that. That means these are immutable objects, what integers and string. Okay, now if I have employee, if I like employee e2 equal to e1, if I say now e1 has some particular block of memory, and now e2 is like also new reference to this memory only. You are not creating new memory here, you are just doing reference copy. There is like so for this reference of memory, you have two names, e1 and e2, that's all. So here no new object, like no new object e2 is not getting created if I say employee e2 equal to e1. So similarly here, if I say this dot projects, project is a string array is an object, no? So you will get some particular code block of memory here, and the name will be projects for e1. So if I say this dot project, that means e1 dot project project equal to e2 dot project. So both e1 and e2 will be referring to the same memory location itself. But if I say e1 dot name equal to e2 dot name, so this will happen first, the memory block will be created, and then the value whatever the value which is there for it, that name, that will be added to this memory. So new memory will be created and name will be given, and then your this what value will be added. But for object type, no new memory will be created, just you will be referring to the same memory location if you directly say this. So how to do this, how to do deep copying, how to do, so if you change any one of them, both changes will be reflected in both E1 and E2. So how to do deep copying? So what you will do is, for object type, so you will say employee E2 equal to, let's say you okay, you have new employee of, and then you will copy whatever the values which are present in E2 to E1 at that time. Now new block will be created, no, for E2. Now new block is created. Now you will say E2 dot name something like this equal to whatever this thing. Yeah, for object type you should first create new object, then you should create you should copy the values. For primitive types, no need to create new object. Object will be automatically created, but the value will be value also will be copied. Okay, is this clear? What should be done for object and what should be done for this normal primitive data types?
It's clear, ma'am. And also, ma'am, by using the dot clone method, we can
Yeah,
also do that,
that
right?
we won't, yeah, that we won't discuss now, because your topics are only from week 1 to 6. No, don't get confused by this, by that clone also now. Okay.
Okay, okay, ma'am. But it is like it is possible to do that.
Yeah, by using clone also you can create new object and you can do copy of values. Yeah. Okay,
Sure.
if I say this means only shallow cloning is happening. So I have projects array, this P001 and P002. So now I'm updating the name of E2 and I'm updating the value of E2 to P004. Yeah, so changes will be happening to both E1 and E2 in here. So E1 has Ashok as name, and project 2 only I'm printing. So that means P003 it should print, but it is printing P004 because we are doing shallow copying. Yeah, that's what. E2 now dot name is getting changed because that is deep copying only will happen if yeah, Ramesh is happening and P004 is getting printed. So how to do this deep thing? So firstly, you should create new object for project. No, projects, how to create new object. This dot projects is of type string array, equal to new string of, so the length is same as e dot length, whatever the existing length. Okay, and then okay, now the new object has got created, e dot projects dot length. Yeah, now new object is created. We have to copy the values. How to copy? You need to iterate over the array. You are iterating over array. Now you are saying this dot projects of I equal to e dot projects of I. Now you are copying each project from what, E2 to E1. This is how you do deep. First new object should be created and then copy should happen. That's what we are doing in this lines. Now if you run, so changes, whatever change I do here, it is not getting reflected. No, yeah, now even project is still this third project is 3, but E4 but this E2 project is 4. Now yeah, only changes are happened to E2, but E1 has no change. No, yeah. Okay, any doubt in here, this concept of copy constructor? Okay, no doubts. Yeah, actually this is important, you should know. That's why I'm asking you that whether you have any doubts or not.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, Arup sir, I think you can continue now.
Okay, thank you, Nalini.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Okay, let us start the thing. Give me a minute. So first, I want to discuss this programming assignment. So I'm giving the link of the template of the program. Can you please check, like, is it accessible? Okay. Okay, this is the program we're going to solve, right? Can you see the template?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to download it?
Where to download it from, sir?
Yeah, the link I have given no in the chat. The template is there. You can just copy it anywhere. Like anywhere means in the any Java editor or whatever like you want. And you can do also the coding, right? Okay, this question, just I'm starting with the question, right? I hope like everybody downloaded and opened the code also. So let's write a Java program that prints roll number and marks. Let me increase the font a bit. Yeah. So give me a moment. Yeah. So write a program that prints the roll number and marks of the student scoring highest mark among all the student in a college and the roll number, right? So what it says, I'll give certain roll number and certain marks for the student. So it has to get the particular student information who is scoring the highest marks. So it will give the highest marks as well as the student roll number also. Right? Okay. So there is a student and there can be, so there are students and there could be some UG students also. So UG students along with the roll number and marks having something called as a department. But for UG students also, my function is applicable. If I give the function, it will find out the particular UG student scored the highest marks. It will give the roll number of the student along with the particular marks. So there are two types, like two classes. One is student class, another is UG student class. So it is quite understandable, like if the student is having the roll number and the particular score, and undergraduate student having the same thing along with a new thing, that's a department. It's quite obvious we'll have an inheritance relationship. That's the UG student will inherit the student class, right? It will take the roll number and name from the student. Along with that, it will also have a department. It should keep the roll number and total marks for 3 students. So I'm just considering only 3 students as my input of the type student. And for the UG students, I'll also consider 3 UG students. For them, my input will be the roll number, total marks, and department. So 3 student information and 3 UG student information will be input. So if you just open the main function, you can find out that I'm taking the input for 3 students and 3 UG students. Okay, the class student list, right? I'm having a particular class called as a student list. Contains a generic array to store the interface instances, the objects, right, of the student object, or they can be of UG student object, right? It's a generic array. Either it's an array of student type or it's a student UG array of UG student type. So that array defines a student list object, right? So it also provides a iterator to traverse through the array. From the particular array I'll create, I'll be able to traverse. That's name as a iter. Assume the total marks for each student is unique. Why it has to be unique? Because if my marks are duplicated, I may have at a time the same score is the highest score may be scored by more than one student. So output will be some kind of different thing. But I know here the assumption is only exactly one student will have the highest marks. From the group of students, one student. From the group of UG students, one student. So now what you have to do, something has already given to you. So you have to go to the UG student, you have to write a constructor. You have to go the iterator class, that's iter. There you have to define the hash next. And finally you have to go to the app class. There you have to define a method called as a print topper. So print topper will take a input, that's a student list type of input. It could be student list of a student type or a student list of a UG student type. So whatever may be, from it should find the particular student who is having the highest score. So that's the idea is. Can you just glance through any problem if you have? Is it okay? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Shall I go to the program? Or if you have some doubt about this question, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'm going to the program. Okay, so this is what is.
Sir, can you give us just 5 minutes to
Yeah.
go through, because I have downloaded the program.
Yeah.
Just have a, then you can start. That will be good, sir.
Yeah, yeah. And if you want, you can just put some kind of stub code so that piece of codes also in the. I'll wait for yeah, not
Okay.
5 minutes, 3-4 minutes. 5 minutes will be.
Okay. Okay.
Can you scroll down the problem statement?
Shall I proceed? Or you need more time? Do you need more time or shall I proceed? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you can start.
Sir, okay.
You need another minute? Then it's okay.
No, it's okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going little slow with the program because if you understand this program, means a lot of things will be fine, right? So this is a custom iterator, not custom iterator. I rather say it's a user-defined iterator you are creating, right? So this is a interface which is user-defined, but there is a iterator interface also exists in Java, which is generic of type. Please check that also. But this is what I am creating here. So now student is having two things, roll number and total marks. The student constructor, which will initialize this roll number and total marks. Then the get total marks return the total marks of the student. There is a print function which will print the roll number and total mark of the student. Is there any doubt about the student class?
No.
It's clear. Okay. So now next UG student extend the student. So from the student class, it's supposed to get the roll number and total marks. It has to define the department. So department is already there. So just what I do here, I create a public. Sorry. I just do a public constructor. That's a UG.
Sir, one minute, sir. The text you have sent us, under that this UG student class, there the variable, this department, instance variable department, it's not mentioned. So if that is not mentioned, whether I should take it as a public or private?
I don't know. If it is not there, from here also you can guess, right?
It is there.
If it is not there also, you can guess from this line, right? This line
No,
number
department
33.
that I am not saying. Whether I make that as a public or private, it is my choice in that time.
I'm not telling that. I'm telling how do you know you should have a department as an instance variable, right? That's your question is.
No, that is one. But whether that instance variable is public or private, if that is not mentioned, that I can take anything, right?
You can take anything, but ideally it should be private.
Okay.
Yeah, our compiler doesn't check for like private or public, and nowhere it will be explicitly mentioned it will be public and private. It's not only like in our assignments or our exams, like maybe in throughout the world, like nobody mentions it because it is assumed that since you are doing object orientation, you are implementing encapsulation, so your instance variable has to be private. Only the public functions or the public methods are the only way to access them. That's the idea. But yeah, like if you make them public, nobody going to check it explicitly, like you have make it public or private. But it's not a good practice. Like whenever you do something on the industry, you maybe it is highly discouraged. Okay. So let me go for this. I want to create a constructor. So what the constructor supposed to have? My constructor will have the following thing. First, it will have a so what you can do, just you can copy paste all this, because my UG constructor also have to have a roll number, a total mark, and also a department, right? So department is a string. So I just write the full name only because I'm writing in that way over here. Okay. Now inside my parent class already there is a constructor which can initialize the roll number and total marks. And this roll number and total marks I do not have access also in the child class because they are private. and private instance variables are not accessible from the child classes, right? So that's why I cannot access them, but I can call super and I can pass the roll number to my parent and the total marks to my parent. And I'll tell my parent, that's the student, he initialize the roll number. So it will call this and do the required initialization for roll number and total marks. So the only thing I have to do, I have to initialize my department. So department equal to department. So that do my job. Next, I'm having a print. Now again reusability, like so the entire concept of inheritance talk about the reusability. So print is already there in the student, which can print the roll number and total marks. So why to do it again? I'll just call the print of the super class. That's the student class print method. And whatever the extra thing, I'll just print that here. That's the department, right? That's the department. So do you have any confusion about the UG student class?
No.
Sure, everyone, right? Now, it is told in the question, I should have a student list, which could be a list of students or list of UG student, right? So the array I have over here, it could be an array of the students or array of the UG students. I don't know. So what I can do, I can take a generic parameter t and I can say extend students. That solve my problem, because t has to be something which has to be a subclass, or t has to be something which extends the students. It could be student or a subclass of a student, that is a UG student, right? Now I'm having an array. I'm having an array. I'm having a constructor which will initialize the student list. Then next, I should have a iterator, right? I have also defined my student iterator interface, so which is having two abstract methods. Those are hasNext and getNext. So whenever I'm implementing this in a private class called as a iter, I should implement this hasNext and getNext. So what I have to do, I have to traverse to the array. So initially I is at 0. So I say hasNext, right? I have to see the 0th index exists or not. Like in the 0th position, there is an element or not. If the element is there, then getNext will return the element. It will increment the index and return that element. Then next, I is on 0. I say hasNext. So it will look forward. Do I have the next element or not? If it is there, then I can call the getNext. GetNext will set the I to 1 and return the array of 1 position. Now here the next thing is asked, that is you have to implement the hasNext. So what hasNext return? It returns a boolean, right? Can you tell me what when it returns a true and when it returns a false?
If the index is within the array range, then it will
Yeah, if
return.
the next element is there, then I'll return a true. If there is no next element, that means I have reached the limit of the array, then I'll return a false. So hasNext, if I say hasNext, I'll say yes, true, means I can have next element. But hasNext returns a false, that means I do not have any next element. How do I check it? I'm already having an index, right? If I check this I is less than, my array name is arr dot length -1, because I'm checking the next element is there or not. So I have to be one back to the next element, right? So I'm on the position 1 and I want to check for the second position, right? So that's why I have to be on one back. So if it is there, then I return a true, else I return a false. Why I don't write a else here?
It is not
Uh,
needed, sir.
It's not needed, right? If this condition is true, it returns a true. So program anyhow the function is end. If it is false, this true return will be skipped. So next it will get anyhow the false, right? You may write it, but Good programming practice, maybe you may avoid it because that's unnecessary code, writing a else here. Okay, now get next to what? It just increment, it go to the next position, that's do a I++ and return the value at the next position. That's done. Okay, so in the main what I am doing, I'll go for writing this print topper, but I need to know what should be the return type, what should be the argument of this particular function, right? So how do I know? So I get a scanner, I create array of student, array of UG students. Then I read 3 students, their roll number and total marks. Then I read 3 UG students, roll number, total marks and the department. Then for the student thing, I create a list. I called the student list constructor where I pass the array. So this is the student array. And here in this line, S2 is the UG student array, right? So first I am calling the print topper with the student array. And next time I'm calling the print topper with the UG student list, right? UG student list. Now, what should be the return type of print topper? Anybody?
Void.
It should be void, no? Otherwise, I should have some value assigned to this, right? If I don't have, means I'm not returning anything. Is it a static function or non-static function?
Static.
It is static because I'm not calling it using an object. So let us write up to this. Again, writing is public is not necessary, but it's a good practice to make it as a public because I can call it from anywhere, right? But our compiler may not be able to catch this. So print, because it's syntactically okay, right? But it's not a recommended practice. It's a print topper. Okay, so what will be the argument? So as you have seen, the argument is a student list of student and student list of UG student. How I can access both of them? Both of means any of them. Okay. It should be a student list, obviously, but student list of what? What I passed?
UG student.
Yeah, can you tell me again?
Student list of students.
S extend student.
If I just write a student, can I accept UG student? No, because these are as a generic type, these are not compatible, right? Again, if I make it student list of UG student, you cannot get the student. So these two types are not compatible. We had long discussion about this.
Student list extends students.
If I just make it like this thing over here, right? If you think of just I'll write student here so that this will be also accepted, then you are very wrong because we had a long discussion. This is not compatible with this, right? So what I should write here?
T extends students.
T extends
Students.
students. Do I have to write it over here because I am going to define a T, right? So maybe I have to define it outside because I'm defining what is T, and here I'll just write a student. Here I'll just write a T, right? And here I can have my object. Not object, it's basically a list, right? This is one way, but another, the simplest way. Can anybody say if I don't want to define a T, what I can do?
Wildcard.
I can use a wildcard and I can just say over here extends student. So I don't have to define my T, right? That extra effort is not required. So I'm saying I can take anything if you extend student. So it could be a student and use the student in this case. Now I have to find the topper, whatever it is. So how do I find it out? So what is the data type of that top score? Can anybody tell me? It's a int, right? I need to compare this. So let us take a int max marks, no? So let us assume it is a -1. Why I'm taking this assumption? Because for our scenario, marks cannot be a negative, right? Now, next, the roll number is also int. I say the roll number of the person who is having the max score is also -1. Just this is I'm taking some initialization because I have to give some value to them, initial value. Now it's just a while I want to traverse and I find out actually who is having the maximum marks. So what I'll do, I need to get the iterator from the list dot get iterator. So get iterator return what? It returns a iter, right? But iter is a private, but it is exports to the interface called as a student iterator. So I'll have a student iterator it equal to this. So I say it dot has next. Do I have a value? If there is a value, it dot get next. What get next return? It returns a student, right? It returns a student. So I don't mind it is a student or UG student, because if I just take a student, that can also accept a UG student, because I'm not taking a generic type, I'm going for a specific type over here. So this is the student S, the student I have read for. Now if the student I have right now having a total mark, that get total mark, this total marks is greater than what is the max marks currently I have, then what I should do?
Update.
I'll update my max marks, right? I'll make it what? I'll make it this
Total marks.
is up, right? Okay. Now similarly, my roll number also has to be updated. I have to give the maximum roll number is the roll number of the student. But the problem is, if you look at, do you have a accessor for getting the roll number?
No.
No. So this is the trick of this particular question. So there is no way you can extract the roll number, but you are supposed to print the roll number as well as marks, right? So how do I do that? So I cannot do my marks, but what I can do, I can find out the student object which is having the total marks, right? A highest total marks. So I can have maximum student and let initially take it as a null. And every time I get the maximum marks, why not do it maximum student is nothing but the current student is. Will it solve my problem? So enter the student object for which I'm getting the highest total marks. I'm saving it as a max student. Right? So it will go on iterating at the end. At the end, my output is this, the student with the maximum marks, that object. If I just called a print method, so what the print method will do? It prints the roll number and total marks together. And here also roll number, total marks, and the department. So I don't have to directly access the roll number at all. I want to print it, just will be printed. I'll just have that particular object stored, right? So I want to check it, what I have written, it's correct or not. Just I'll run once. Then if you have a doubt, then that I'll take it. Okay, so where is the problem? Find out the problem. Where here it's giving the problem. Is list cannot be resolved variable.
Static.
Huh? Oh. Sorry. I have deleted this during the copying the thing. I have copied, no, that one. I have done a cut paste instead of copy paste. I took it from here into here, no, that time. I just copied it over here that time. I have done a cut paste.
So static to be mentioned in the print.
Oh, I haven't done static, right? Anything else? Yeah. Okay. So let us have the input. Copied. Yeah, I get that result. I'm having few. First, you're having any questions regarding this?
Sir, can you share the problem statement? No, sir. Can you share it because to check the output on my side?
Oh, you want the question?
Yes, sir.
I cannot do immediately. I'll post it somewhere afterwards, right after the class is over.
Okay.
Right. Or yeah, I'll copy it on that particular file you have downloaded. No, there I'll copy it.
Okay.
So, do you have any doubt?
So just explain that get iterator method to access the private class element in the nested once more.
So, see, I cannot get the roll number, so there is no point to
No,
directly
not this
get the
one,
roll
not
number.
this one, sir.
I'll go for that. Rather, I'll have the object, student object, which is having the highest marks directly. So this is the initialization portion. Oh, you want this part? You want this part?
No, this 43 and 44. Line number 43 and 44. I know, but still, sir, you just once more.
See, I need to iterate through a list object, right? So how do I do it? I have to get an object of iter class, right? But since this is a private class, my user, the T class, cannot create an object of it directly. So that's how it requests the list class to get the iterator, right? It creates an object of the iterator and return it back. Now the problem is, now since the iterator also is a private class, the iterator class is also not visible over here. So that's how we use the interface. The interface is public, right? It is visible, not public, like it is public inside the package. So this is accessible by my user. So here you're having the capability of your iter class, right? So that's how it returns the object of this. So you know that IT having two capabilities, has next and get next. So you do has next, you find out next element is there or not. Then you find out the next element is the student object. Then what you do, you compare if my current object having high better marks, total marks than the previous whatever the max I have. If it is that, just save that object and update the current maximum marks. If I go on like this, inside the max st, I'll have the particular student information that's having the highest total marks, right? That's the ideal. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now my question, can I write like this?
No, this you can't write, sir.
Is it working?
No. Why in fact that wildcard can be anything.
It could be anything, right? But my question is, anything means, can you write this actually? Is it possible to create an object of I list? It is not student list, sorry. Can you create an object like this? This is equal to new of this. Can you create an object like this?
I think you can't.
Because I cannot, because I have given the restriction over here, right? So at the beginning, for the student list, you have put the restriction. It can be only instantiated with the student and UG student. Since I cannot create the student list with any other class than these two, do I have to again re-specify? Because I'm very sure whatever the object will come over here, there has to be a student list of student or student list of UG student. There cannot be any other student list type.
Okay.
This is through our previous class, right? So that's how this also works, because I have already bounded this, what my student can have, student list can have. So it's not necessary to again redeclare the same thing. You can make it like this. Okay, I'll show you another way of doing it. If I write T extends student and just write a T, will it work?
Yes, I think.
Oh, I have to copy this again. This will also work, right? Because I'm telling it, it will take a T where the T is a student. So it's allowed, right? But this is not a good practice. Why? Because throughout my function definition, never I have used the T. If I'm not using T in my function definition, why I have to define it? So that is why the concept of wildcard exists, right? If I'm not going to use the T, you don't have to write a T, just write a question mark. But somewhere inside my function, if I'm going to use the T, I want to say that my get next return, here I may have it like this, the get next, wherever I have, it doesn't return a student, rather it returns a T. It may happen, right? Because T is what? If I instantiate this as a student, then T is a student. If I instantiate it with a UG student, then what I meant to say, where is my iterator? Yeah, what I meant to say, that my get next will return a UG student, right? That's also logical, or maybe much more better coding. Getting my point, right? Writing a T over here, it's a better approach, isn't it? Because if this T is instantiated with a student, it returns a student. If it is instantiated with a UG student, it returns a UG student. Instead, if I write it as a student, then what I'm doing, if it is he is a student, then I'm getting a student. But if it is the UG student, the UG student is getting typecasted into a student, then it is returning, right? Then I'll have the problem of the capability. If the UG student has some extra capability that I cannot access, because I'm returning it as an object of a student. So better approach maybe I return a T, right? But if you do a T over here, then the problem will come. It won't be taking it as a question mark. You have to write this extend and all, because here you are sure that it is going to get a student type. But if I write a T over here, you cannot ensure like it will return a student or it will return a UG student, right? Then here also you need to have a some kind of T, right? So this creates a problem. So instead of telling so much, I'll tell you, okay, experiment with this. Just make it T and try to find out how you can solve this. Make it T. I'll just give some suggestions. Please try to do. Try to make the return type as a T. Make the return type as a T. Check out what happens. Then makes the return type also as an object. Find out what will happen to your code. Is what the change is required in this line and here. Then we'll have much more confidence on the generic. But I don't want to explain any more over here. So I want you have to practice it, then only the clear understanding will come. So I'll go for a small thing now. That's about the inner class, that nested class. Then I'll end up. Although I have done it before, but I want to just repeat it, because you can see in the iterator also somehow you have to take use of this private class, right? It's very important. So just giving some idea. Remember, inner class, it is not must, it has to be always a private, right? If I want to hide something, then it has to be private. Otherwise, I can keep it as a public. Just to give a sense, like I'm having an employee, right? And employee having two things. Suppose employee having a name, which is the name, and I'm having something called as a DOB, date of birth class, right? And the object is DOB. Now this class I yet not defined, so I want it to be defined as a inner class. So I can have a class called a DOB, right, which is having the following thing: private int, maybe a DD, MM, and YY, right? So these are the private things, and you may look for a public constructor for a DOB. You may say you will have a int D, int M, int Y, and your DD will be D, MM will be M, YY will be Y. And you can also have a public string to string. I'll return a formatted way. The date will be printed first, then followed by this slash, followed by the month, given a slash plus YY, this particular way. Whereas in my employee class, I can also have a constructor. So in this constructor, what I sent, I pass a name, and I'll have a DOB, I said D. So what I'm going to have, name will be N, but what the DOB will be an object of DOB class, right? Object of DOB class. Sorry, I need to pass int a date, a month, and a year, right? So he'll pass here D, M, and Y, right? So n will be assigned to the name, and dob, which calls this constructor to have this date, month, and year assigned to it. It will be created and it will go into the dob. And similarly, I can also have a public method here, public string to string, which will print my employee in a formatted way, which prints the name. Then suppose it gives a colon, then also prints a dob, because I already know how the dob has to be printed. It is defined here, right? It's actually done. If I just have a t class over here, and I'm defining a public static void main, I'm having a string args. I want to create my employee, e equal to new employee. I want to say it's employee name is Raj, and date of birth may be 3/10/1979, right? Then I can have a system.out.println. I just want to print e. Okay, let me run this. It is basically printing it in a formatted way. So just can you check it? Like, is there any doubt? I think it's very straightforward program which shows that it may not be private, like if it is not necessary. Is it okay? Just
Yes, sir.
right, no? Okay. Now I'll go for a situation where making the class inner class private is necessary, right? So I'll go for the same example Sarah has done. So it's a class railway booking. I'm taking the same example, or rail booking, not railway booking, rail booking, or rail ticket booking, anything. So what I need here, that using an object of rail booking, I can query something, some information, right? So if you go to a railway or airline sites, you can see some queries are public queries, anybody can make. But for making some queries, you have to do a proper login, right? You should have to validate yourself, then only you can access those information, right? So try to differentiate. I can have certain informations which are public, certain informations which are private. So private information can be accessed after validating yourself, but public information anybody can access, right? So let us have certain public information first. Say, just for an example, I'm giving my PNR information is a public information. Anybody knows, but the booking status, if I want to know, or if I want to know who is the passenger belongs to this PNR, I need to log in. But if I want to just check what is the PNR, that's a public information. So I can have a public rail booking, and I can make this PNR assigned to some P. I'm taking this PNR as a int, right? Okay. And anybody query about the PNR, I'll give him the PNR. So I'll say public void print PNR. So what I do, I just do a system dot out, or maybe I just return the value. The normal printing is not a good idea because user may want to print it in a formatted way, right? In their own way, how they want to print it on the ticket. So I'll just return the value. How they are printing, it's their headache. It's not my headache. Okay. But whatever the private thing, what are the private thing, I keep into a private class. That's maybe I say it's a query object. Okay. So using query object, or I say this is a query manager rather, right? So using a query manager object, you can run the queries which has to execute the private information. Which has to execute the private information. Suppose that you are having a public query over here that sorry, public whatever I say. Let us have a constructor first. We'll have a constructor. I may not give, just I want to say what is my suppose I want to say check the PNR ticket, get the PNR ticket. So somebody will query with the PNR, he can access the ticket, right? So if I want to do it, what I'll do, I'll return the particular PNR. What are the PNR I have? Along with that, I'll print some name. For the time being, I assume the name is fixed, something or other. But you can understand, you can have a database inside where I can pass the PNR and just query what will be the corresponding passenger information, right? So that part I'm not doing. I'm thinking the information is a fixed kind of thing. For the timing, it's fixed. Whatever the PNR I have given for that, the passenger details is. So that is what I have inside this. Now, a class which is a T class need to access my information. Public static void main. What he wants to check? He wants to check. He creates a object of rail booking. Say it's RB equal to new rail booking. So anybody can do this. And I say it's a something fixed. I say it's a 20003 some PNR. And if I just query rp dot print PNR, and I'll give it as a system. I should not write it as a print. No, that's illogical. Let us have get PNR. I'll have a get PNR. Because I'm printing it over here. System dot out dot println RB. So using the RB object, I'm able to query my public information. So this gives the public information, right? But using RB, can I query this method? No, because this method is not belongs to my railway booking. It belongs to my private class of the railway booking. So to have access to this particular method, I need an object of this query manager. Okay, so let us have a function which will return an object of query manager, public query manager to get query object. So I want to get a object. Using that I can do my private queries. Okay, so I'll have new query manager. Okay. Now I want to access the private information. So using RB, I can call get query object. So what this function will return? What this function will return?
PNR with
Query
all.
manager.
It will return.
Query manager.
It will return a object of query manager. Right?
Yes.
But see, you can obviously see here it is making a red color. Why it is making marking it? It's a compiler error basically. Why?
Private class.
Because this query manager, this class itself is not visible to me. So inside T class, how do I know what is the query manager? Because I cannot see it. It is encapsulated, right? Inside whatever there inside railway booking, private things I cannot see from outside, right? So this is not visible to me. But how can I make it visible in? Because if it is not visible, I cannot do a query, right?
I can generate a object of railway book, and from that I can access this.
Okay. You're telling I'll do just dot like this, you're telling, right? RB is a railway booking object, right? Now get query object will give a object of query manager. Then you are saying dot, right?
Yeah.
Then what I do? Get PNR.
Get PNR.
Still it is giving an error. It's an error, right?
Yeah, now have to use an interface.
Yeah, because T class is not aware of what are the capabilities, right, of this query manager. Now, whenever you want to call a method, you need to first check, does my object having that capability or not? I do not know the type of the object only, so how do I know its capability? Right? T class do not know what is the type of this object, what it is returning. If I don't know the object, how do I know its capability, right? So to expose the capability of a inner class, private class to the outsider, what we do? We create an interface. So interface IQM, and I say a void, not void. I'll just take the signature of the method because this is the capability. I want to inform others. I just put it over here, and I mean to say actually what my inner class is doing, it is implementing this interface. So this becomes his capability, right? So what I do here, I say implements IQ. So that solves my problem. Whenever I'm returning the value of this, I'll take it as a IQM like this. Now I am aware of what is the capability of IQM. So that's why I can make the call to get PNR. So I can just put it in a public static void main. Sorry, system.out.println. It's done. But it is very, very important why I have this interface. I hope you got it, right?
Yes, sir.
I think that's all. It's a lot of things we have done actually. So I'll suggest everybody practice this. Both the program I have done, Nalini has done. So please do it yourself and do small changes and try to do it in a different manner also. Right? Like there I told like what will happen if the get next returns a T? What happens get next returns an object? What happens if get next returns a student? How the generic definition changes. So that gives you a clear understanding of the thing. Right. So I don't have anything today. Tanya, you want to say anything?
No, Arup, no, I'm done.
So then otherwise we are done.
Yeah, so we will not have any more code with instructor sessions before the OPE. So I guess whatever examples we have solved, I think if you just try it out and learn the techniques, you should be able to attempt at least a few questions. So that's what.
Ma'am, all the questions have equal weightage for OPE, right?
That's correct, yes. So you have 4 questions, out of which you have to answer only 3. And all of them are of equal weightage.
Okay.
And I have some small doubt.
Yeah, please. Yeah, you told at the beginning, I forget.
Yeah. Actually, sir, in the practice assignment question, I'm trying, but I'm changing something and want to do, but there I get stuck. Initially, just 1 minute.
Samit, can you post it on the Discord? That may be a good idea because the due dates are all over, right? You can post your problems, right?
No, I do not have exactly the question that we have in the graded and practice assignment, but I am changing a little bit and try to find the output. There I got stuck, sir.
Yeah, that obviously it has to happen, no? So you have to do a lot of practice, then only it will completely comes into your.
Actually, sir, the problem is very simple. I just want to know one, two thing. There is an assignment question in the graded assignment 5, where the generic one that one integer array is given and one string array is given. So I have to written a generic program so that I can able to get printed from reverse order. Okay. So that thing is okay. I do not have any problem on that. But I thought, am I able to do this thing by sorting? Say something is given, I want to do the sort.
How you can do the sorting
ascending
also, right?
and descending order.
Yeah, you have to write the sorting code.
Yes. So I try to write that sort code, but I find one problem. Sorting means there is 2 things. I can create a new array and then plain sort and one by one compare after comparing the whole list.
In-place sorting and I got it.
So in Java, in the generic one, shall I do it always in place sorting?
It's nothing like that. Like I'll suggest Samit, rather than like just getting the suggestion like this, whatever the code you have written, don't write the entire thing, maybe the part of it. Write a small entire code, but a small code, right? And post it on the Discord so that I can analyze the code. Because generic you can understand, no, a little return type changes, the entire question gets changed, right? The entire solution. So
sir, my problem is, sir, actually in very basic. Sir, when I am sorting, I am comparing one element with all the element, whether it is better descending or ascending that limit. After comparing the whole list, I get an element. Now I need to put this element in the new array, right? Sir, in Python, I can do it in very easier way, but here I get confused when it is generic one. How to create
it is
this?
Possible. It is also possible.
Can you just show
have
this
another
part
generic
only?
array? You can have just another generic array and store it.
How to define this another generic array? Because
T of whatever you have. That's all.
Can I share my screen, sir?
I'm not sure, Samit. I don't think we have the permission to do that. I'm not sure.
Then, sir, can you just?
Samit, see, rather than explaining it here, no, I think it will be difficult for us also to understand. So let me just try to understand your question. What you're saying is, do you want to try in-place sorting necessarily, or do you want to try any sorting? And you're trying to write a sorting algorithm like based on some logic you used earlier, right? Like something like a bubble sort or a selection sort.
Yes.
And you want to use one of those algorithms and come up with the, so your doubt is like in integers, we just do this exchange. I mean, you just have this memory where you just exchange this and then you are able to do it. How can you do it in this using objects is your question, is it? I mean,
Yeah,
in the case of integers, you can just write 3 statements wherein you can exchange the content of 2 variables, right? Like, I mean, then that way you exchange the 2 elements, no? Like if you find that one is smaller than the other.
No, specific problem is that, ma'am, when I am writing a generic program, I already have that array, right? Some array I am passing, whether it is integer, string, let it be. But that array is there. So in place sorting will have no problem like reverse, because reversing I am using the same array and reversing all the element. In place sorting, instead of reversing, it will just sorted that. So only the logic part will change. This is okay.
No, I'm
No
not
problem.
understanding what has in place sorting to do with this and the
Means
reverse.
I am not creating another array,
Okay.
another list, another list to
Okay.
sort that.
Okay. Yeah, you are just exchanging the 2 objects is what you're
In
saying.
the same
Got it.
list, in the same array.
Okay.
But if I want to do create a new array, and then after comparing the first array, I am collecting all the element in sorted order in the new array. This part how to generate in the new array is my code is not working. So
Okay, so your issue is like indexing, like how do you get to the next memory location is your doubt? Like if you have an array, so you can have an array list of objects, no? And then you can keep adding, like you increment the next index and then you put it in the next index and so on, right?
how can I? That is why I'm saying if I able to share it, then
So
it
you
will be.
please share it in the discourse. I don't think we generally encourage to share because it's a bit of a problem. So please share it in the discourse. See, I can, what I understand your problem. I mean, I understand your problem. Basic data type instead of an object. If you are using a basic data type, you have no confusion, right? Even if it is not in place. Is it correct? So can you first try it on using a basic data type, like some simple integers? Are you able to do it using simple integers instead of this generic object and all that?
Simple, I can able to do it.
Yeah, so your problem is basically using a generic object, right?
Yes.
So Arup, do you want to try that? Like, I mean, do you want to see his screen? And I'm
So
not sure. I have to talk
I
to the
want to
studio team.
suggest like Samit, whatever the code you have, like along with the error, can you post it? Like you can write whatever the code you have tried, that code only you can paste it. I'll make a corrected form and I'll send it back.
So where at you I'll post it in Discord.
On the Discord, yeah.
So it
You
is
can
a
just
long code, and I am writing in Visual Studio. So my each class will have each file. Then how I will post 1, 2, 3, 4 like this in this
You
way.
put it all into one Java file and just have one public class.
Okay.
Ma'am, is there a file or folder for the PPA assignment solutions? Because it is not available.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
And one more thing, in the same assignment problem, the generic one, where I am means the checking the function whether 2 numbers is equal or not to calculate the frequency. When I'm using array of I is equal to number, in case of integer, the code is working, but when the string is there, it's the same is not working. I have to write dot equals. So you got my point, sir?
Yeah, we have discussed that, no?
Wrapper class integer and then equal to is working is what you're saying, is it?
Because of that string element.
Yeah, wrapper class with capital I integer, right? That is working, but for string it is not working. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so see, I think which was already discussed earlier, but I think it's because the wrapper classes must have this overridden equal to, right, symbol. It would have, you can just check the definition of the integer wrapper class, and then you will see that for certain classes, this implicitly equal to sign will be implicitly doing the equals comparison. It must be defined by Java itself that if it is equal to, you have to do the comparison, not the object comparison, but the value comparison.
Okay, okay. And can you, sir, discuss just only one problem, that is week 5, practice assignment 1.
Okay, I need to check it. Give me a
It's on the reflection assignment, right?
Right. I didn't.
Yeah. So, Samit, just wanted to tell you, like, there is nothing conceptual about it, and that's why we didn't discuss it. What is your doubt on that? Can you please ask? Because I think we are already running out of time, first of all. Secondly, it will not if it is from an OPP perspective, it will not be asked. And if it is about a conceptual thing, I can tell you there is nothing conceptual about it. But if you still have a question, you can ask. That's it. I mean, I don't think we have to explain. I mean, describe the problem as is. There is nothing. You can just use the get constructor, get declared constructor, get field, get declared field, and then you can get the output. So there is nothing conceptual about it.
Okay, actually, I didn't go through that reflection part very well, but I thought by discussing this problem, I am able to know the details of the
Yeah,
reflection.
you please do the homework. Okay. I mean, I don't think we have the time to discuss it because there is nothing conceptual about it.
Acha, okay. Ma'am, I will post this problem, this particularly the sorting problem, as you said in the discourse today. Please try to, if possible, try to answer by at least tomorrow.
Yeah, you please post it.
Okay. I will post it in detail. Okay.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
All the best for the OP.
Okay, all the best.